This episode of The Bill and Callie Show is brought to you by
the committee to elect Jim Biggs, County Commissioner.
Hi, this is Jim Biggs. I'm running for North District County Commissioner in Porter County. I'm running for re-election. I would appreciate your vote November 3rd. Thank you. This ad is paid for by the committee to elect Jim Biggs, County Commissioner.
The Bill and Kelly Show is recorded at Studio A at Executive Suite Squared in beautiful Hammond, Indiana. Now, here's Bill and Kelly. Hello, welcome to the Bill and Kelly Show. Today we are honored to have Jim Biggs, who's the one of three of the Porter County Commissioners. And he is in District 3, which is all the northern area of the Porter County area. So welcome to our show.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
We're honored to have you here. So why don't you tell some folks, maybe they are not familiar with you, maybe new to Porter County, just moved in. Tell us a bit about your background, where you're from, where you went to school, and how you came to be a commissioner.
Well, I'm a seventh generation Porter County resident. As a matter of fact, my great-grandfather was served as a Liberty Township trustee back at the turn of the century. And so that, you know, I remember reading about that, you know, when I was younger, and kind of piqued my interest. But I'm a seventh generation resident of Porter County. I've been married for 33 years to my wife, Carol. We have one son. We live in Chesterton. Same house, the only house we've ever owned for 32 years. We've lived in that house. And I have served on the Board of Commissioners. I was elected in 1992 and again in 1996 or 5 to the Porter County Board of Commissioners. I did not run a third consecutive term. My wife and I just had our son, and so I went home and played daddy, and I also went back to school to finish up my master's degree. I hold a master's degree in public safety administration. My undergrad is in law enforcement management. But after being out for 11 years, I then felt the need to come back in, simply because I liked it, and I liked being involved with my community. And ran for the county council, was elected twice there. Midway through my second term, I ran for commissioner in 2016, and that's the term that I currently serve in. But I'm from a large family, got a family of 8 children. And they all live in the area, Porter County, LaPorte County. And I'm running for re-election because A, I like it. B, over the years, I think I've become pretty good at it, because it does take time, you know, to get good at something when you have such the scope and size and scope of responsibility as a county commissioner has. I want to be part of finishing up a lot of the projects that this Board of Commissioners has taken on over the last 3.5 years. And then I'm gone.
Retirement, finally, huh?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's a self-imposed term limit.
Right.
I'm going to do the same thing I did, 20 years ago when I served twice and left on my own accord at the end of those 2 terms.
Yeah, quite a long time of service then, since the
Yeah.
90s.
Yeah.
It's amazing. So let's talk about some of your roles as a commissioner. One of the things that that have been challenging over the years has been the budget, both with the economy and with the COVID crisis. It's been challenging in Porter County, but yet Porter County's infrastructure still needs renovation, and so on. So why don't you talk to us about the budget and what you've seen over the years as commissioner of the life cycle of the budget. What are some of the obstacles, and what were some of the good things you were able to do with some of the resources that you were able to supply out of that budget?
Well, one of the advantages that I have, I believe it's an advantage. When I served in the 90s, we didn't have an income tax in Porter County. And we certainly didn't have the proceeds from the sale of the county hospital to rely on either. And, coming back into to county government and having the advantage of those resources also available at our disposal has been a godsend. County government is not unlike any other business that it's periodically it grows because the county grows. It has to grow because we're service oriented. But working with this particular board of commissioners has really been a pleasure. It really has, because we all come to the table with a certain type of skill sets, and we've been able to take advantage of the opportunities that have been walked in front of us, and we concentrate on opportunities and not problems, and that's why quite honestly we've been able to accomplish so much in such a relatively short period of time, less than 4 years, where we've come in and taken over a failed maintenance program with our buildings. Our buildings were falling apart. Mm-hmm. And we've renovated all those buildings. We've renovated the county courthouse, the county administration building, the North County Court Annex, the County Expo Center. And we were able to do that because we've used interest money from the sale of the proceeds from the hospital wisely, with the help of the county council. And what we've also done is we went in and brought in true professionals to engineer the maintenance of the building, hire them as employees, where before quite honestly it was somebody's brother-in-law. And so that part of it has been managing today in the county commissioner's office is very much different than managing in the 90s, for those reasons that I just mentioned, and also because of technology. When I left at the end of '99, everybody was just getting cell phones. There was no internet, there was no emails, so everything today happens extremely fast, and you have to react quickly in most cases, and that has made it challenging, but that's a challenge that I've kind of liked, because I do appreciate a little faster pace than what we were experiencing back in the 90s. We didn't have any money to manage. People say, well, how did you deal with this? Well, we didn't. Mm-hmm. You didn't have the money to deal with anything.
And I remember the controversy about using the sale of the hospitals, the interest on those monies, and that segues into another question I want to ask you. Is because obviously as the cost of doing business in Porter County increases, that's maintaining buildings, maintaining staffing to take care of those buildings, and then of course the different departments in the county. You have to play a game of kind of selling economic development here in the county. So do you view your role as a commissioner in doing that, driving economic development, bringing companies or businesses into Porter County?
Well, it's about how you manage to, and if you manage poorly, that institution, just like any other county government or local unit of government, is going to be more expensive to manage. If it's more expensive to manage, you need more money, obviously. And we only get our money from one place, and that's from the taxpayers. Mm-hmm. So I think what we have done, first of all, I think everybody on the county council realizes that, and then certainly the 3 board of commissioners realize that. That's why we have the lowest property tax rate in all of Northwest Indiana, and because we do truly believe that that an attractive, what's going to attract jobs or economic development to Porter County is low taxes, safe streets, and good schools. That's where it all starts. Because if you don't have one or two or three of those, you're not going to convince someone to open up a business here. You're certainly not. We have the infrastructure in place. Our county has, as you know, we have a toll road that runs through the heart of it. And we have one of the busiest interstates in the country that run through the northern sector of it. So, everything's here. It's how you manage yourself. And I think that's why we have, even though we're in the middle of a worldwide pandemic, our real estate market is exploding. Right. Because it is a preferable place to live here in Northwest Indiana, still be outside of Chicago where you can go to work. We have a mass transit train to take advantage of as well. That's going to double tracking here soon. Right. So the commissioners also, because of some of the revenues that we receive for different purposes, when the opportunity presents itself, we should also support programs that encourage or develop a stronger workforce, which I think that we have over the years, but that needs to continue as well.
Right along with economic development, of course, you get back to the budget, because you need that income, but one of the largest portions of the budget is staffing. Now, use some of the cost of staffing. Can you talk to us about that, some of the initiatives that the county has undertaken to help control the staffing costs?
Well, I think the way that we've encouraged it is, first of all, this board brought in an HR department. And now, think about this for a second. We had over 1,000 employees, and we were running without an HR department. That's ridiculous. And the advantage of an HR department is that it helps hire the right type of people. We can't compete with the General Motors or the U.S. Steels in salaries, but what we can compete with them in benefits. So if you smartly recruit and bring in the right people, what happens is that the right employee will do the job of two or three poor employees, or employees that does not have the same skill sets as this particular employee does, and we've learned that. We've brought in professionals. We've had to raise salaries with some of them, professionals like in the engineering department and such. But the dividends derived from that investment is just out the roof. In that we're not going back. We're not fixing a problem and then going back 6 months later to fix it again, which saves a lot of money. But it's also the case of the commissioners constantly in communication with department heads, that we understand when a department head says, I could use another employee. Well, our initial reaction to that is, couldn't we all? But if we look at what they're doing and try to understand what the real issues are. The real issue may, and it very often is not an issue of not having enough employees. It's an issue of not doing it smarter. And that's what we've tried to usher in over the last 3 years and 10 months is doing things smarter.
So making the departments self-eval and reevaluate their staffing and doing things more effectively.
Right.
Right.
We're not going to bring in department heads. We have no interest of hiring people who want to come to us, 2 or 3 months later and say, "Hey, I need more help." We're looking for problem solvers.
Right. Right. So, talking about that staffing. The other thing that we're looking at is as you bring in economic development here, and this Porter County has blown up, with development and so on. What are your philosophies with regarding to make sure that, when contractors come in and work on property, build homes or build, commercial property, what guidelines do you as commissioners insist on as making sure that they're doing good quality work and they're adhering to the ordinances and plots and so on?
Well, over the years, county government, in all county, most governments are like this. We have spent a lot of money in bringing in, so-called experts to make sure that we're zoned properly, to make sure that we have the type of ordinances that that promote quality of life within our county. I mean, our top priority, make no mistake about it, is not the people who want to live here. Our top priority is the people who live here, and they are going to come first, and your ordinances need to reflect that. And if you have a set of well-written ordinances and a zoning map ordinances that reflect the wishes of the people who live there, everything pretty much falls into place. You just can't get into a habit of varying from it because they're there for a reason. I mean, I see so often I see things in other places constantly being rezoned, which I scratch my head over. Is that those properties are zoned the way that they are for a purpose. It's not fair for a community who somebody who come in and bought a house and typically that house is just like your house and my house. Is odds are it's the most valuable asset that we own, and with the thought that it's not nice and quiet, and then we rezone the front of it, and next thing you know, there's a gas station going up to it in front of its entrance. Those are the kind of things you have to be careful about doing. But if you have the best interest of the people who live there, and you don't have that, you're not carrying water for some friend or some political ally, you're going to be fine, and things are going to work the way they should work.
And speaking about quality of life, of course, that's one thing that has always been taken pride in Porter County. The quality of life here is pretty, although ironic I say here, we are in Hammond, but virtually we're going to be in Porter County. But what I mean to say is...
We got a spot for you.
Yeah, I'm there already. But no, all kidding aside, the quality of life has been impacted on something that has been a cancer in Porter County. And, actually several people run on a platform, Gary Gurman, one of them, in solving this problem, and that is the hellacious problem of substance abuse in Porter County. And at no fault of anyone there, it's just because we do have a large economic area, we have doctors, lawyers who pick Valparaiso or surrounding community to live in, that unfortunately attracts a drug problem. Where there's money, there's going to be a drug problem. You can't escape that. Can you talk to us, even though this may be more of a council issue dealing with the law enforcement and so on, can you talk to us a bit as a commissioner what you view as your oversight in helping the departments that the council maybe have access to? What is your view of the problem, and further along, what can you do as a commissioner to help support the departments that are helping combat this problem?
Well, we invest very heavily in the Sheriff's Department and the drug unit when we're asked to. All three commissioners, we realize the gravity of the issue. What I would like to see is because there has been some talk about dedicating some of the interest money from the foundation, from the sale of the hospital, toward some type of programs that deal with public health. And I personally think, having said on the Porter County Drug Coalition, their board, and being a public official as long as I have, and talking to individuals set on the community board of corrections and such, that this really, in many cases, it's a mental health issue. Mm-hmm. And I would like, I think that we need to look and see if we can't dedicate some of those funds when we get the structures in place to do so, toward toward those means. I think chasing them around in squad cars and arresting people and throwing them in jail, that clearly hasn't worked. Because at the end of the day, what happens, and the data shows it, there's two things that's going to happen. One, their odds are they're not going to get any better. Two is the taxpayers are paying for their mistake. Because they're sitting in our jail and we're feeding them and we're housing them. And I think we should set up develop a program where we can get these people help. The type of help that will change this up here. Because that's where it starts. That's where it has to start with them. It has to start with their way of thinking. We've heard all the horror stories. Spending tens of thousands of dollars and sending them away to some rehab, and it just to come back and it doesn't work. So, that's one of the things that we can. One of the things that we can do. I mean, certainly law enforcement has its role there, but again. Porter County has, the county council and the board of commissioners have been, I think, very, very generous in understanding in, what the sheriff's department has needed, and what the prosecutor's office has needed to fight this problem.
Yeah. And I have, Sheriff Reynolds has won a lot of accommodations for what he's done in that jail, just an amazing amount of work. And he is noted as one of the better sheriffs in the United States, so he has really heard on this. Now, the other thing that has been talked about in the past is, the lack of, and this isn't just Porter County, but also in Lake County, is the lack of detox units, if you will, to help people out. And and a lot of people are going through detox in jail, which is not an ideal environment. But by necessity, they're having to. Is there any talk about the county doing something or supporting a detox center?
No, I haven't been part of any discussion in regard to that. I mean, my personal feeling on that matter is that we need to rethink, redesign the interiors of our jails, and it's not only in Porter County but nationally. Our jails are meant to house bad guys. They're not meant, and they have not been designed to house people to be detoxed or with mental issues. And I think there has to be some kind of reinvestment done there, because I think at the end of the day, it just makes us a better county, and it really gets to the real root of the problem, because simply locking people up is not the answer. It's expensive, and the data shows it's just simply not working. You can go to any county jail in the country, and the recidivism rate hovers around 60%. It's ridiculous.
And there are 3 problem-solving courts in Porter County to deal with that.
Yes.
But then again, you need the facility to help deal with that. You can't just send them out. But the judges and the prosecutor's office has done a wondrous job.
Yeah, I would like to see us try to deal with that internally, because I think that you control the costs better from that way than just writing a check, each month to some outside agency trying to do it. And I think that we could very well be getting to that point to where we do start reinventing ourselves to handle that problem in a more constructive way. And I think, honestly, I think you start with the jail.
Yeah. Well, gosh, with that, boy, I think we've covered all bases. Is there anything else you want to share with us? Maybe some of your goals in this next cycle that you would have to continue on in this office?
Well, we're finishing up the renovation of the North County Courthouse. That should be opened right at the end of the year. We have 157 Franklin, which is also known as the old jail. We have renovated that to take on overcrowding in the old courthouse. It will house 911. That'll be open right after the first of the year. And we are extending Willow Creek Road out to 130 in the hopes of alleviating some of the north-south traffic, like on the bypass, that everybody, if you travel that, on a regular basis over the years. You can see how that's just every year it just gets heavier and heavier and heavier. And we need an alternative route,
Right.
especially for that side of our county, which is arguably the most heavily populated.
Right.
Instead of coming clear over here to drive down to Indianapolis or whatever, for those people who don't like taking 65. But just, you know, it tie up some lesser important problems that we have. But I would appreciate a second term. I greatly appreciate the opportunity, whatever happens, the opportunity that I've been given already. I promise, you know, I'm not going to let anybody down, just like I haven't up to this point. I have a job to do. I'm pretty clear on the voters, type of job they want me to do by this point, and I will continue to do that.
Great. Well, gosh, with that, we appreciate you coming on, and on behalf of the Bill and Kelly Show, we appreciate you being the sponsor this month. That is greatly appreciated, and as a lot of people out there know, we do a lot of work with the Food Bank and Habitat for Humanity and some of the other non-for-profits, so your campaign dollars will go to good use and providing those platforms, and so we greatly appreciate that. And with that, we'll wrap things up. We wish you great luck during the election, and we'll say goodbye for now.
This episode of The Bill and Callie Show is brought to you by
the committee to elect Jim Biggs, County Commissioner.
Hi, this is Jim Biggs. I'm running for North District County Commissioner in Porter County. I'm running for re-election. I would appreciate your vote November 3rd. Thank you. This ad is paid for by the committee to elect Jim Biggs, County Commissioner.